that can be given to people coping with all types of emotions where their mental state comes to play with dealing with those traumas triggered by society's baggage.
In Tennessee, you have Centerstone, which is located in almost every community in the area. You have Mental Health Co-op in the Nashville area and some of the other local areas. You have 615 Mental Health. You have also insurance. You can always contact your insurance for providers on your insurance list.
Okay. Then I also have did a little research and to find out some resources. Like you say, you can talk to your primary care doctor or any other professional about mental health problems. You can ask them to connect you with the right mental health services, and they should have ways for you to seek that health profession. Well, your health profession should be able to point you in the right direction. But if you don't already have a primary health care provider, if there is an emergency situation, remember to always dial 911. If there's a life-threatening situation regarding a patient who has mental illness or has a mental health care crisis, because they will answer and, of course, come to the rescue immediately. And we don't want, to try to wait around, to get that person treatment. Like I said, if it's life-threatening, remember to always contact 911. Now, if there is a suicide issue, you can always dial 988, and they're open 24 hours a day, and they provide assistance. And they also are online. If you feel the need that there is not a life-threatening situation, you can always go to 988lifeline.org, and they will be able to help you out as well. Then there is a place that's called Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and they have a website, which is samhsa.gov. They have behavioral health treatment service locator on their website with some helpful tools and information that will help you out. So those are some of your resources that will help you. Whew, I told y'all that this was a complex topic to tackle, but I'm glad we were able to touch the tip of the iceberg with this discussion. And we will, on this show, continuously talk about mental health, because I believe that your mental health is your wealth. Like we just go through so much in society. Like I said before, those traumas, if you're on social media, we're constantly reminded of negative stuff more than positive images there. And of course, in the news, there's always something negative going on versus positivity. So I kind of want to touch on I'm going to make it my mission here on the I Am Kiana Scales podcast to talk about this subject as much as I can and bring people in to keep chipping at this topic, because like I said, we just touched the tip of the iceberg on this episode. I just kind of want to give an insight on what mental health is and also mental illness, and kind of just give you some insight and resources that you can use to help you navigate with this. And we're going to keep chipping away at this. As this is important to me. Thank you again, Loretta Bradford, for joining me and providing the insight on mental health. This was very informative.
Can I make just one comment?
Yes.
When you see a person who may not be adhering to a situation as you would, do not put them down, because we never know what someone else is dealing with, and we don't know how they have been able to challenge the way that they deal with things. For example, I may go to work and not deal with death or dying, but that's my way of dealing. Whereas you may look at me and say, oh, her mom died or her dad died and she's going to work. That could just be a way you're dealing with death and dying. So when you see somebody dealing with something as serious as them trying to keep their mental health, don't question why they're doing it. That may just be the way they deal with situations at that time. And I know that we all grieve and we all deal with situations differently.
That makes sense. So kind of what the saying is, going to meet people where they are, because sometimes we can be too judgmental. Mm-hmm. So that's a good nugget. I will say that's a very good nugget, because oftentimes we want to question people, why they doing that? They just this, that, just that. And I'm going to keep it a book. We always quick to say when somebody is not doing what the status quo would do, what we say, they just crazy, that's just crazy. We always want to throw that crazy term out there. And we might want to perhaps start to look at how we throw that out there and just saying people are crazy, or just because they don't do things that a normal person does. I know I'm going to speak for the Black community. We tend to say they crazy, they're this, they're that. But sometimes, like you said, it may just be them coping with their mental state, their mental health.
And that's how they keep their mental health.
Yeah, because I probably don't do things, quote unquote, as sane as people do. I have my ways that I do stuff sometimes, and people just look at me really weird. Yeah, because like I tell people, I'm a little different. I think a little different sometimes, very outside the box. Yeah, and we'll touch on that a little later. But yeah, I have some instances where I do things and people are like, one thing, I'm just going to be transparent. I don't sleep at night. I don't know why. I just don't. My mind is constantly always going. And I just don't. And people are always just like, you're just not normal. And I've heard that a lot. Then I tried to question, maybe I'm not normal. Other people get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but I don't. Why come my mind is always racing? But I don't want to get too deep on it. I'll open up about that at a later time. But my mind is like always racing. Sometimes my thoughts, those that are around me a lot know that I'll jump from conversation to conversation. And some people, when they get to know me, they're like, she really weird. She'll jump from here to there. But it's because something is on my mind. We can have a conversation an hour ago, and I'll jump back to that conversation, or 3 weeks ago in the midst of a current conversation. So I get a lot of people to say that I'm crazy or weird, but I'm just me. And I enjoy just being me. And in order for me to say sane, sometimes I do journal, I write, but I like to, as our guest said, Loretta said, I have my own way. I like to be working. Like, that's one thing you will always see me do. People like, you don't never sleep. You always working, going. And I'm always studying whatever it is that I'm working on. And that just, to me, keeps me sane. Am I overwhelmed at times? Yes. Do I kind of realize that I'm overwhelmed? Sometimes I know it, but I keep going and I keep pushing myself. And then I have to tell myself, wait, you got to take a break. Because there's been times when while I'm sitting here being transparent, that God set me down. And I had to go and sit down because I kept pushing that envelope, pushing and going. And I had to actually go and talk to somebody to figure out what exactly was going on with me. But like I said, we'll keep touching on this subject. I just wanted to touch the tip of the iceberg on this episode, and I'll let you know more about my mental state. But yeah, this is one of those conversations where it can go on and on and on. However, it's just, y'all, I don't want to be too emotional, because it's just one of those things when you talk about mental health in the state, we see a lot of people dealing with this, and sometimes there are not enough resources in healthcare. Everybody doesn't have insurance, y'all. So sometimes to seek professional help, we need insurance. And we're going to talk about that with hopefully I can get some insurance healthcare professionals on here to talk about how we can get those. So why is mental health not free, getting the help that someone needs? This subject really does something to me. But I want to thank you again, Loretta, for joining me today on the I Am Kiana Scales podcast. Thank you for chatting it up with me today. The ism for today. You don't have to be positive all the time. Trust me, it's perfectly okay to feel sad, angry, annoyed, frustrated, scared, and even anxious. Having feelings doesn't make you a negative person. It makes you human. However, I do urge you to seek help from a professional if these emotions become too overwhelming. Your mental health is everything and should be prioritized because your life depends on it. Ladies, are you looking for the hottest fashions and accessories? Look no further. The Closet Experience has you covered. The Closet Experience has been delighting women of all ages and sizes since 2009. Visit theclosetexperience.com and save 10% with code PODCAST. The Closet Experience Boutique, where fashion and budget meet. The Closet Experience Boutique, where fashion and budget meet. Save 10% with code PODCAST. That's PODCAST.